Adonis Robinson faces capital murder charges after police say he shot and killed Ronnie Sibi, known as Lil Ronnie, and his daughter.
And a baby, his baby, a baby.
That scream came from a car wash parking lot in Texas, where a man and his little girl had just been left on the ground. Now listen to a rapper in a whole different city try to explain how something like this even starts.
2 watches got stole, about 5 lives got took.
How do those 2 moments end up in the same story? Hold that thought because we are coming right back to it. One ugly question that will keep coming up in every one of these cases that we will take a look at today is whether the old street rule about leaving the kids in the family out of it still means anything at all. And by the time we are done, you will understand why so many people in the culture are saying the line got crossed a long time ago and nobody is turning back. We start in Fort Worth, Texas, with a man his whole city called the best gambler in the state.
Yes, sir. Best gambler in Texas with another PS Hey, still ain't met a nigga that can beat me to this day. Literally. Tag your opponent, tag your best gambler, whatever city and what state, we might pull up, get that nigga a flight one way.
His name was Ronnie Sibi, and he rapped as G-Dollar Lil Ronnie. If you knew anything about North Texas rap, you knew him. And the wild part is that he was always somewhere near the drama without ever seeming to be in it. He said that himself, and he said it calm, the same way he said everything. Ronnie came up the hard way, and he never once tried to dress it up. He was born on October 28, 1939, and he was raised in Fort Worth's Highland Hills, a neighborhood people around there call Lil Vegas because of how heavy the gambling runs. By his own count, he was already deep in the street by the time most kids are still learning to ride a bike. Listen to how young he was when the street took over in his own words.
Like, what was it like you growing up, as a youngin', in Fort Worth?
Streets. I fucked the streets. I was in the streets for a long time. I was already in like at 9 or 10. I was in the streets. Like, people think that's cap or something, but shit, I'm in the streets for real at 9 or 10. Like,
his story only gets heavier from there. His mother was out there on drugs while he was still in school. His grandmother passed away around his 8th grade year, and his older brother went to the penitentiary right around the same stretch. So by the time he was a teenager, he was basically living house to house with his friends and their mothers, calling that his family because it was the only one holding him down day to day. He talked about all of it plainly, and he made a point of saying he never fell apart over it. He just adopted, because adopting was the only option he ever had. What is striking is how he never once turned that pain into an excuse to hate his mother. He went and found her, he kept her close, and later on, when he had his own spot, he kept her right there with him while he ran it. Years later, she recovered and got clean, and he lit up talking about that because that was the one part of the story that actually got a happy ending. Now, the man made his real name off 2 things, and only one of them was rap. The first was gambling, and he was dead serious about it, calling himself the best gambler in Texas and daring anyone in any state to come test him on the dice.
Like, the laughs and shit cool, but I ain't told no jokes. I'm literally best gambler in Texas.
That wasn't just talk for the internet either. He described days where he walked away $15,000 or $20,000 up, dice games that ran past 24 hours straight, and a whole crew he called the Dream Team that he ran the tables with. He said he even studied his opponent's stats before he ever sat down to shoot against them, which tells you he treated a street dice game like a professional sport. When people asked if he was addicted to it, he flipped it around and said gambling was addicted to him, that his body would start freezing up if he went too long without a game. The second thing that made his name was the music, and the way he came into it is a story itself. Before any of it, he was working a normal job, first at a Quick Trip and then at Walmart, pulling minimum wage and unloading trucks, until a trip out to Kansas with some music friends changed how he saw everything. He watched how those artists were living and thought to himself that he was already living that life for real, so why not do the music too? He quit the job, grabbed a spot, and never looked back. From there, he built. He came up through the DSG clique, then started the Hood Fame Collective to pull artists from all over Fort Worth together under one banner. He put out tracks like Red Roses, WAPs, and Count Up. He toured with national names like Soulja Boy, and he built real bridges across Texas, working with Dallas and Houston artists like Peso Peso and Go Yayo. People compared his role in that city to what T.I. meant to Atlanta, but Ronnie stayed independent and stayed local by choice, handling his own promotion, his own tours, all of it himself.
Yeah, nigga, we out here, nigga, you see it, nigga, showtime, you hear me? You hear me?
Facts on deck.
Literally, nigga. Free heels, nigga, you see this motherfucker, nigga. Make this motherfucker dirty, nigga. Motherfucker dirty in this motherfucker, nigga. So like, dirty, nigga.
And here's the part that turns his whole story from a come-up into something heavier. For all the beefs that swirled around his name and his label, Ronnie was known as the calm one, the peacemaker, the guy who did not bring the drama even when the drama came looking. His own aunt said he did not bother anybody. He mentored younger artists, he preached unity in a scene that was always splitting into sides, and he genuinely believed loyalty was something you find in unexpected people, not something you demand from the ones closest to you. Which is exactly why what happened to him hit so hard, and why nobody, not the police and not his family, has ever been able to give a straight answer about why it happened at all. To understand the loss, you have to know who he lost it with. Ronnie had 2 daughters. The older one, Ayana, was around 12. The younger one was Armani Ariel Sibley, and she had just turned 5. Everybody who knew Armani said the same kind of thing about her, that she had a laugh that filled a room and a smile that could pull you out of a dark mood. And her family said her favorite color was pink, which is why people wore pink when they came to say goodbye to her. She was a kindergartner in Crowley schools and part of a youth cheer squad, and by every account, her daddy doted on her, always making sure she was dressed just right before they went anywhere. Her 5th birthday was March 2nd, 2025. The family celebrated her that day. The very next morning, on March 3rd, around 10:50, Ronnie pulled his maroon Dodge Challenger into Slappy's Express Car Wash on Forest Hill Drive and started vacuuming it out, with Armani sitting in the front passenger seat. It was a normal Monday morning and a normal errand, the kind of thing you do 100 times without thinking, and that ordinariness is exactly what makes the next part so hard to sit with. According to the arrest affidavit, 2 men pulled up in a white 2016 Kia Rio and parked on the far side of the car wash. They got out, walked around the building on foot, rounded the corner where Ronnie was standing, and opened fire without a word of warning. One of them carried an assault-style rifle, the other a handgun, and they let it go. A neighbor who lived across the street heard the whole thing and could count the bursts.
6 the first time, and then it was like a half a second to a second, I heard 6 more, and then a half a second or a second later, I heard 3 more.
The first barrage struck Armani where she sat, and she was killed right there in the passenger seat. Ronnie took off running across the parking lot in a bright orange tracksuit, ducking behind other cars and a dumpster, trying to make it to cover, but they chased him down and kept firing until he collapsed. Investigators later recovered more than 30 shell casings scattered across the lot. Both father and daughter were pronounced dead at the scene, and the vacuum was reportedly still lying in the front seat where he had dropped it.
A 30-year-old man and his 5-year-old daughter were murdered at a car wash in the Fort Worth suburb of Forest Hill.
At this point, it appears to be a targeted and police are looking for 2 gunmen. Dozens of evidence markers show where the fire erupted today at the car wash on I-20 at Forest Hill Drive. A 30-year-old rapper and his young daughter were both killed. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is in Forest Hill with the update from police on their investigation. Peyton.
Steve and Heather, that first 911 call came in just before 11 a.m. this morning, and we did not receive an update from Forest Hill Police until just about an hour ago at 8 p.m. They now tell us police have identified at least one of the suspects and have issued a capital warrant. However, police are not releasing any of the names of the suspects. We know that 2 men, police say, opened fire on the victims. A witness who lives across the street from the car wash tells me she heard multiple rounds of fire. Take a listen.
6 the first time, and then it was like a half a second to a second, I heard 6 more, and then a half a second or a second later, I heard 3 more.
Becky Johnson startled by what she says sounded like back-to-back fire. A deadly in broad daylight at a car wash off Forest Hill Drive and Interstate 20.
I could see people filling for their cars.
Johnson watching customers take cover behind their own vehicles. Forest Hill police say 2 men got out of a Kia, approached the victim's car, and opened fire. Sky 4 video shows dozens of evidence markers around a maroon Challenger. Also a vacuum still laying in the front seat. Forest Hill police confirm 2 were in the Monday.
And a baby, his baby, a baby.
Family members tell Fox 4 the victims are 30-year-old Chucky Smith, known as North Texas rapper G Money Lil Ronnie, and his 5-year-old daughter. The little girl just had a birthday yesterday.
Cleaning the car out, and somebody came through and killed him and the baby.
Fort Worth and Mansfield police were on scene to help with crowd control. Raw emotions as loved ones rushed to the car wash. Cries were heard as people leaned on one another.
When is gonna stop?
And the car wash, Steve and Heather, released a statement this afternoon saying it's working to assist police, and the car wash will be closed for the next few days. Meanwhile, Forest Hill police tell us that they are working with multiple agencies on this case, including Fort Worth Police, Everman Police, Kennedale Police, and the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. But at this hour, no one has been arrested.
A veteran who works around the hip-hop world saw it with the weight of that detail, the child being right there, and asked the question so many people were asking.
Yeah, but what comes across your mind? I mean, you have a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, this man lost his life with his daughter, and there's AK-47s. Mm-hmm. That's a horrible way to go out, number one.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
number two, your baby with you? Like, I'm like, yo, what? Like, is this where we at as a culture?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
people will see you with your kid and still let off.
So that's the mafia worked on a whole different premise, you know. But you're right. That's the state that we're in right now as a culture, which is sad.
The police work moved fast, and it moved fast because the killers made mistakes. The killers ditched the Kia at a nearby apartment complex, and surveillance there caught 2 men matching their descriptions, tossing items into a grassy area before ducking into a building. On top of that, one of them had left his Texas ID card sitting inside the getaway car. The car itself belonged to a girlfriend who had loaned it out that morning, and she later told police he called her afterwards saying something had happened and telling her to go get the car and delete their messages. That was more than enough to put names to faces. The names were Adonis Robinson, 24, and Jacoby Russell, 21, both out of Fort Worth. The Forest Hill police chief did not mince words about them while the manhunt was still on.
A manhunt is underway for 2 capital suspects who killed a father and daughter in Forest Hill. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager. Police say 24-year-old Adonis Robinson and 21-year-old Jacoby Russell are responsible for shooting and a local rapper, Ronnie Sibi, and his 5-year-old daughter Monday at a car wash. Fox 4's Dion Anglin has the latest from police. Dion.
Hey there, Steve. The police chief here in Forest Hill says the search is on for the 2 men responsible for this double murder. The chief also called them cowards. 2 capital murder suspects are now identified and subjects of a manhunt.
They're scared. They're cowards. They're hiding.
They are 24-year-old Adonis Robinson and 21-year-old Jacoby Russell, both of Fort Worth. Investigators say the 2 are the gunmen captured by surveillance cameras at a car wash Monday during the ambush and double murder of music rap artist Ronnie Sibi and his 5-year-old daughter, Armani.
We have public enemy number 1, Adonis Robinson, who is also a registered sex offender. Public enemy number 2, Jacoby Russell, who's on the run.
Public records show Robinson was arrested in 2019 and later convicted for the violent assault of a woman who was walking along a trail near Marine Creek Reservoir. Forest Hill police will not speculate on a motive in the double, nor will they say if or how the suspects and victims are connected, pointing out the Texas Rangers are the lead agency in the investigation.
Based on the music industry that he's a part of, it is all part of the investigation. And like I said earlier, we're on a fact-finding base. Everything that's being put out is being reviewed and analyzed by the Texas Rangers.
We know from surveillance images obtained by TMZ that Sibi was chased on foot through the car wash parking lot before he was shot. Police say it's unclear if Robinson and Russell could be hiding out in the Metroplex. However, they are the subject of a nationwide be on the lookout alert.
They are dangerous, they are armed, and we need you to please call 911 and let our police officers respond and take appropriate action.
Now, we asked the police chief if there was a vehicle description to go along with this search. The chief let us know that the vehicle used during the double murder is already recovered. He would not say where that vehicle was found.
Both men had records that raised eyebrows the second they came out. Robinson was a registered sex offender who had been convicted in a violent assault on a woman near Marine Creek years earlier, and he had been out of state prison only since the previous summer. Russell had his own history that included assaulting a pregnant person and a string of plea deal violations. Robinson was caught first in Livingston, Texas on March 6th, and Russell turned himself in the next day. Both were charged with capital murder of multiple persons, which in Texas carries life without parole or the death penalty, and Russell's bond was set at $1.5 million. Here is the frustrating part, and it's the same frustration that runs through all three of these stories. As targeted as this attack clearly was, with the shooters waiting on Ronnie to pull up, the police never publicly gave a motive. They said they looked at his music career as part of the investigation, but they never tied the suspects to Ronnie in any way they were willing to share. The street had its own theories, of course. Some people online pushed a story about a payback for a dice game robbery an associate had supposedly pulled, and others pointed to old rap rivalries, but none of that ever showed up in a single police document, and the family flatly rejected the idea that Ronnie had enemies like that. His people kept coming back to the same word, which was senseless.
The Forest Hill community took time to remember a father and his 5-year-old daughter after they were killed in a shooting. Little Romani and the 36-year-old Fort Worth rapper Ronnie Sibi, known as G Money Lil Ronnie, were gunned down at a car wash last week. This evening, that same car wash closed early to host a balloon release in their honor.
A lot of hurt people, man, you know. It ain't never a good thing when somebody that's popular in the city, that's popular with the people and stuff like that, be taken away over senseless violence.
And this comes as we learn more about the two suspects now charged with capital. Court documents show the getaway car used by the two men belonged to the girlfriend of one of the suspects. He parked it in an apartment complex after the shooting and told her to pick it up. The girlfriend told detectives her boyfriend said he left it there because, quote, something bad had happened, but didn't give her any details. We're still waiting to hear from police about a motive.
Ronnie and Armani were laid to rest together on March 20th at Great Commission Baptist Church, with hundreds of people filling the room and their caskets carrying their images. Ronnie had spent his whole life adapting to whatever the street threw at him, staying calm through all of it. And in the end, the calm didn't save him, and it didn't save his baby girl either. That's our first father. Our second lived 1,000 miles away in a completely different rap scene with completely different rules, but his ending rhymed with the first one in a way that's hard to shake, because he too was gunned down in public with his little girl standing there watching it happen. His name was Terrence Pearson, and in Chicago's drill scene, they knew him as THF TP. To understand TP, you have to understand where he came from, because it shaped every choice that led to his last day.
It's shaking when it's storming. I like sliding in the water. Ask my guy, I keep that even when I'm riding with my daughter. There's so many of them niggas that's dead. Seem like they in the order. Don't let that little shit get to your head. My mic gon' take it off your shoulders.
He grew up on Chicago's South Side, in the Bronzeville and North Kenwood area around 46th Street, deep in the projects and the low end, exposed to drugs and violence from the time he was small. He was a decent student early and even dreamed of being a ball player, but the street pulled harder, and by high school he dropped out over street activity, though he later go back and earn his GED. That mix, the kid with real potential who got swallowed by his environment, is the classic Chicago drill story, and TP lived every bit of it. He was a core member of a crew called the Trigga Happy Family, or THF, based around 46th Street and Ellis. Now, TP and everyone around him always insisted THF stood for family first, a tight unit where the older guys looked out for the younger ones more than any traditional gang. And you can hear how much that word meant to him when he explained it. But there's no getting around the other side of it too, which is that THF was locked in one of the longest and bloodiest feuds in Chicago drill history, against a rival set called 051 Young Money. That war went back to schoolyard beefs in the mid-2000s and spilled into more than a decade of shootings, diss tracks, and funerals on both sides. TP's biggest moment as an artist sat right in the middle of that war, and it was one of the most disrespectful songs the genre ever produced. The track was called Bus Stop, and it mocked the way two rivals had died. Both of those young men, Lil Mark and a figure the streets called Tuka, had been killed at bus stops in separate shootings years apart, and TP built an entire song around taunting them for it. The record went viral in drill circles and rocked up more than 2.8 million views, and it made him a name. But it also made him a permanent target, because in that world, putting something like that on wax is a debt that never really gets settled. TP knew exactly what that song was and never backed off it. In interviews, he talked about how it landed right on time with what was happening in the streets, how he never expected it to blow up the way it did, and how some of the friends who filmed it with him were now dead or locked up, which gave the whole thing a heavy feeling for him personally. He was a man who understood the weight of the life he was in, and he still kept moving in it, which is a tension that sits at the center of his whole story.
I swear I can't wait till that day come. I swear that God ain't gon' feel my pain when this tape come. This more than rap, I really like the face shells to his face like make shells like the rearrange. Westbrook, boy, why you change up?
By early 2024 though, the picture of TP was starting to shift. People around him say he was trying to turn a corner, focusing more on the music and on providing for his kids. And drill commentators even claimed he had signed or was about to sign a record deal days before he died, though that part was never confirmed in the mainstream. What is not in dispute is that he was, first and foremost, a father, and that fatherhood is what put him on that street corner on the worst day of his life. His young daughter had a school project about Black-owned businesses, and part of the assignment was to interview the owner of a local spot. So TP took her to a Black-owned restaurant called TNT Rooftop on the west side in the Austin neighborhood so she could do her interview. She brought a pink poster board and her art supplies. Think about that for a second, because it matters. A man the streets painted as a hardened drill figure spent one of his final afternoons helping his little girl with a school project about supporting Black businesses. A commentator who covers these cases laid out the setup plainly.
First story we talking about is THF TP. He was ambushed with his kids, with his family, going to do a school project for his daughter, man.
There were no reported threats that day, no arguments, nothing unusual on the record. The family finished up inside, and then they stepped back out onto the sidewalk in front of the restaurant, TP carrying his daughter's poster board. They had not even made it to a vehicle yet, and that is where everything went wrong. At around 6:40 in the evening on February 7th, 2024, a white Nissan pulled up alongside the family on the sidewalk. Gunmen jumped out and opened fire directly at TP, and only at TP, letting off at least 25 shots, while his girlfriend, his daughter, and a young relative stood right there. Police recovered around 22 shell casings, and TP was struck at least 7 times in the torso. The shooters got back in the Nissan, made a U-turn, and fled. Nobody else in the family was physically hit, but the daughter's pink poster board and art supplies were left scattered on the sidewalk among the blood and the bullet fragments, right next to his wallet and his keys. TP was rushed to Loyola University Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead about an hour later. The Cook County medical examiner ruled it a homicide by multiple gunshot wounds. Security camera footage of the shooting leaked online within days, and the thing everyone kept saying about it was that the children saw the whole thing happen at close range, which is the kind of trauma that does not leave a kid. The reaction from inside the culture was loud, and it landed differently than usual because even people who lived that life were disgusted by it. One well-known figure was pressed on TP getting killed in front of his kids, and you can hear the discomfort in how he answered.
What do you think about the dude from THF TP who was just in front of his kids?
Yeah, they wild as hell, Cam. Like, I would never did no shit like that. I'm f***ed up, but I ain't that f***ed up, Cam. Like, you could get a pass you with your kids with me, man. I don't do that shit. Like, I love the kids, you know? And I don't want to see the kids grow up like us, you know what I'm saying?
He went further, and this next part is the emotional core of the whole thing, because it is a man who is not soft admitting that this crossed a line even for him.
Then his daughter was standing right there, like, seeing the whole everything. That shit hit different, though. Like.
Another artist from that world put it even more bluntly, framing it like a rule of the game that used to be understood and now apparently is not.
So it's like, see that shit it brought a sickening feeling to my stomach, gang. Cause since when we started saying the kids for real, gang? Since when we traumatizing kids, gang?
Now, remember that watch line from the very beginning of this video. This is where it comes back around and where TP's death connects to something much bigger. Officially, TP's case is unsolved with no arrests, and it remains open with the 15th District. But in the streets and in the drill commentary world, his killing got tied to a whole chain of violence that started with a robbery. The rapper Lil Zay Osama has said publicly that THF members stole his 2 Richard Mille watches while he was asleep after a music video shoot, and that the fallout from that theft set off a string of killings across different factions. In his telling, this was a betrayal by people he had no prior beef with, and it turned into bloodshed.
2 watches got stole, about 5 lives got took.
Now, here's the cruel twist that the culture itself pointed out. Even people discussing the beef said TP had nothing to do with taking those watches. He was a THF member, so he wore the target, but the act that supposedly got him killed wasn't even his.
It's like, dude didn't take the watches, you see what I'm saying? Right. So he had nothing to do with taking the watches, but we see what happened when he passed away in front of his kids or whatever, like rest in peace to him, that was horrible still. And it's like, do that make it worse being that it's like, now that we find out he didn't even take the watches in, it's over some materialistic, and then it's like all of the elements, do that make it worse, or like, you know what I mean? It was just
well, like you said, we don't know if he took the watches. We don't even know if Shorty them the ones they did that for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we just gonna speak in a hypothetical, but like,
you're speaking hypothetical.
Like, we gonna speak in a hypothetical, but in a certain situation like that, bro, it's hella who need the flame for other or other reasons that don't got nothing to do with them. This is why it's important to always know what your homies is involved in, and if you associate yourself with certain, even if niggas with you a certain way, if you know what your niggas out here doing, you gotta move like you're moving, because a motherfucker that can't get up with them will get up with you, and because they know it'll hurt them.
I want to be careful here because none of that watch story is proven in any court or police report. Chicago police have never publicly linked the theft or any specific person to TP's murder. It's street narrative told through interviews and diss records and commentary videos, and it's important to keep that line clear. But it matters to the bigger story anyway, because it introduces the idea that runs through the rest of this video. The idea that in these feuds, if they can't get the person they actually want, they'll take whoever is close enough to hurt him. Hold on to that, because it's about to become the whole point. Lil Zay, for his part, at first called TP's death unjust and offered prayers for the family and the kids, before later speaking more openly about the watches and the fallout. And in the middle of it all, one more detail sticks. A local interviewer named Swipe said he knew TP personally, that TP had actually commented and laughed under one of his videos about the old bus stop era, and TP told him plainly that everybody's got to die one day. According to him, TP was gone the very next week. He knew the life he was in. It still took his daughter's whole world from her on a sidewalk while she held a school project about Black businesses. That's two fathers now, both loved in their cities, both cut down in public with their children watching. Our third case is where all these threads finally braid together into one, because it happened inside the exact same Chicago war as TP, inside the exact same crew, and it dragged in a young mother and her own little boy along the way. This is the story of THF Bayzoo and a rapper named G. Airy, and it's the one that shows you the cycle doesn't stop. It just keeps finding new people to swallow.
Say they think I'm suicidal. Only thing suicide is suicide, though. Whoa, whoa. Ain't only thing suicide is these does. Wrong with y'all. Y'all wanted me to play some Juice WRLD for y'all. I played Juice WRLD for y'all.
Bayzoo, whose real name was Devin Shea Collier, was 35, and he was not some new face. He was one of the older heads, a foundational figure in that same THF world TP came out of, and he was tied tight to Lil Durk's Only the Family, or OTF, and was a close friend of the late King Von. He was born September 26, 1990, came up in the Cabrini Green projects before moving to the South Side as a kid, and by his own account, he had a passion for crime from the time he was small. His life was defined by how much of it he spent behind bars and how much loss he carried. He put it into numbers himself in a long sit-down interview.
You spent 12 years of your 33 years locked up.
Maybe more, maybe less, bro. Like, I spent a lot of time, man. I've been going to jail since a juvenile, since I was 13, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I try to do the math myself, like just putting all the time together, the real bids. It's like 12 out of my life, and half of my life, you feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't get a chance to experience life for real till I turned like 12, 13. So like, hell yeah, I stayed in trouble as a shorty, man. That's all. I stayed in some shit, bro. Like, my background shot like a motherfucker, but like as far as being convicted, I ain't got no deep convictions, you get what I'm saying? I got two gun convictions. Both of them unconstitutional though. Right now, I'm working to handle that shit, get that shit off my record right now because they unconstitutional, People versus Aguilar or whatever, but I've been through a lot of deep shit.
He carried death up close too, and the way he told one story about his younger brother will stop you cold. His brother was killed by an accidental gunshot in the home, and Bayzoo said his family was not able to have anyone else prepare the body, so he did it himself. On the legal side, his reputation in the streets was heavy, and the record shows why people talked. He was arrested back in 2014 at Lil Durk's home in connection with a 2009 murder, a case he beat, and he beat that murder charge outright in 2018. He talked about how he never took quiet plea deals, how he took his cases all the way to trial and won, and how much money and how many lawyers that took. Right after he beat that murder, he and King Von, who had beaten his own case around the same time, recorded what became one of Bayzoo's biggest songs, and he told the story of how it just happened off the top in Durk's basement.
You know, I beat my body January 2018, and Von beat his a month after. And Durk flew us down here, you feel me, took us shopping and we, I said it on my No Jump interview, you know, we was really just in the basement on Durk Live. We set a live up there. They was like, damn, you Zoo and Von just beat they murder a month apart from each other. Y'all should do a song. And Buka and Ike was playing with them, like, man, y'all ass ain't no, ooh, they telling y'all ass a rap. And Von ass like, man, call the engineer. So they called the engineer, you know what I'm saying? Man, Von just and that bitch is playing. We ain't even write that beat about it. We just going back and forth, and that ended up being one of my hottest songs.
Yeah, that went crazy.
But here is the part of Bayzoo that most people never saw, and it's why his ending is so bitter. In his last long interview, he sounded like a man who wanted out. He talked about how he had lost his grandmother, his uncle, his brother, his daughter, his stepson, and a whole list of guys he considered brothers, and how carrying all of that is why he got high the way he did. He said the senseless killing was what bothered him most, the little kids and the women and the old people getting caught up. And he said the thing he most wanted to do with his name was reach kids between 7 and 12 and steer them away from the streets before the streets got them. He wanted to be, in his own words, a voice behind the voice. He was trying to close the same door he had spent his whole life walking through. The streets did not give him the time. On October 25, 2025, around 3 in the afternoon, Bayzoo was in a parking lot in the Little Village neighborhood near the 3100 block of South St. Louis Avenue, a Mexican part of town that was well outside his usual South Side territory, when gunmen opened fire on him and 2 other men. Police recovered 20 rifle casings and 19 9mm casings, with 5 vehicles hit by the gunfire. Bayzoo was struck in the abdomen and torso and rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he died. A commentator broke the news the way these things always break now, fast and raw.
So Bayzoo just got shot, man. He just got shot on the southwest side of Chicago, man. He was shot in the abdomen, shot in the thigh, amongst one of the other members, and a family member. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if basically Bayzoo in critical or he fighting for his life or it's the other two, but Bayzoo definitely had got was basically 100 shots that was basically fired at them. So that was a switch. Basically what was reported was somebody had spotted Bayzoo in them, you know what I'm saying, and bent the block and came back around and up fire on them, you know what I'm talking about? And basically we don't know who this can be and who might can be, because the nigga be into it with so many people, you know what I'm talking about? There's so many people, you know what I'm talking about?
Now the story turns to its darkest corner, and it's the piece that ties everybody in this video together. To understand why Bayzoo ended up dead in the parking lot that day, you have to follow the chain of get back that the streets laid out, and it starts right back at THF TP. The way the community tells it, and again, this is street narrative and not a police finding, TP was killed in 2024 by a figure they called Man-Man. Then Man-Man was killed in retaliation. Then it kept going, faction after faction, until it reached one of the oldest heads left standing, which was Bayzoo. He was seen as a kind of godfather of that set, so taking him was seen as closing a loop. That's the same logic Lil Z described at the very start of this video. 2 watches stolen and about 5 lives taken, a chain where the debt gets paid by whoever is reachable, not whoever is guilty. And a listener on one of these interviews explained that exact logic in the plainest terms, how the list of people they'd go after then got broader.
I feel like the list of people they'll go after then got broader. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they couldn't catch you, they'll catch your homie. But now, this shit, can't catch you, they'll catch your mama, they'll catch your sister, they'll catch your uncle.
That widening list is exactly what makes the next death so hard, because 2 days after Bayzoo, the war reached a young mother. Her name was Ariana Bosny, and she rapped as G. Ari. She was 26. On October 27, 2025, around 4:48 in the afternoon, she was sitting at a stoplight in her black Chevy Cruze in the Greater Grand Crossing area when a passing car pulled up and riddled her vehicle with gunfire. She was struck multiple times and died at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Her young son was in the car with her. He was not physically hurt, but he watched it, which means yet again a child in this story carries something no child should have to carry. Almost immediately, the streets connected her death to Bayzoo's, with a rumor spreading that G. Ari had somehow revealed Bayzoo's location before he was ambushed, which in drill culture is treated as a death sentence. This is the moment to slow down and be honest, because this is exactly the kind of rumor that gets people hurt. There was no proof of it, no screenshots, nothing, and commentators who first spread it walked it back and within days, pointing out that Bayzoo's killing looked like a planned ambush that had nothing to do with her. On top of that, the father of her child was a rival rapper who was already locked up on a murder case, so he couldn't have been involved either. Chicago police have treated the two killings as separate homicides with no confirmed link and no arrests. A young woman may have been killed over a rumor that the internet itself could not stand behind. Sit with that. And it doesn't even stop there. Bayzoo's death landed while Lil Durk himself sat incarcerated on federal charges, and it added Bayzoo's name to a devastating list of people close to Durk who have been lost, from King Von to others across the years. OTF affiliate Duty Low posted a tribute calling Bayzoo a big brother and vowing to hold his kids down. But the loudest thing about the reaction was how much of it was celebration, with rivals openly mocking his death online, which is its own commentary on how deep the numbness runs in that world. The most haunting part is that we heard the warning ourselves in Bayzoo's own words months before it happened, when a commentator basically read him his own future.
That's why it's not good to diss, because if you out here dissing, my nigga, you know what I'm talking about, you don't know where that fire can come from. You know what I'm talking about? And you out here dissing, bro, you might as well tuck yourself under a rock, hide yourself in the crib, or get some top flight security or something, man, because at the end of the day, people gonna be at your head. A lot of people ain't taking that lightly, and a lot of people gonna get they want their lick back, and they wanna see what you talking about, so they gonna pull up on you, you know what I'm talking about? And Bayzoo is being as old as he is, you know what I'm talking about? You done let Durk gas you up, man, and you running around these trenches thinking it's TV for kids the whole time. They done put you on TV, man.
So let's put the three of them together, because their names deserve to be said as one. Ronnie Sibi was a Fort Worth father and the calmest man in his scene, killed with his 5-year-old daughter Armani at a car wash the morning after her birthday over a motive nobody has ever been able to name. Terrence Pearson was a Chicago father who took his daughter to a Black-owned restaurant for a school project and got gunned down on the sidewalk holding her poster board, apparently over a beef that might not have been even his. Devin Shea Collier was an older Chicago head who spent half his life locked up, buried his own brother with his own hands, and was finally trying to steer kids away from the streets when the streets caught him anyway. And 2 days later, the same war took a young mother, Ariana Bosny, in front of her little boy, quite possibly over a rumor that was never even true. What connects them is not one gang or one city. What connects them is the same broken idea, that a debt can be paid by anyone within reach, and that the kids standing right there simply don't count anymore. This is not new either. It's the same pattern that took drill pioneer FBG Duck in 2020 while shopping for his son's birthday gift, and others like him, fathers caught in family moments, because in these wars, the family moment offers no protection at all. Every person in the culture who spoke on these cases said some version of the same thing, that the line everyone claims exists, the one about leaving the women and the kids out of it, keeps getting crossed while everyone watches. The lesson here is simple and it's heavy. When the shooting is aimed at whoever is closest instead of whoever is guilty, there is no such thing as a safe errand, a school project, or a birthday. The people who pay are the ones who are only ever standing nearby, and most of them are children who will carry what they saw for the rest of their lives. Rest in peace to Ronnie Sibi and his daughter Armani, to Terrence Pearson, to Devin Shea Collier, and to Ariana Bosny. If you know a young person who is being pulled towards this life, the kind Bayzoo said he wanted to reach before it was too late, share this with them, because the whole point of telling these stories is to make one person stop and think before the cycle finds them too. Drop a name in the comments of someone you think should see it.